So that was the 60s, right? That was the 60s, you know, moving on to the 70s. You know, now in the 70s, some of y'all say y'all know my cousin Forrest, right? Mm-hmm. Now y'all did see the movie they made for him, right? Mm-hmm. You didn't see me in the movie, right? No. All right. But there's a part of the movie which I should have been in, and I'm still, you know, trying to work on getting them to remake the movie to put me in there. They had this party, right? And it was me. It was my idea. I ran into these cats when I moved to Chicago, right? I had just moved to Chicago early 1970s. I just moved to Chicago, and I was new. So I met these new cats, and, you know, they told me they was part of this Black Panther party, right? So I heard the word party. So I wanted to go there and do the Rylo slide, you know what I mean? You know, and he's talking about, you know, they do some kind of step dance they famous for, whatever, you know. So I said, well, I don't step, I just do the slide, you know what I mean? But come to find out, the Black Panther party, it wasn't a party. It was a bunch of young guys who were kind of angry and mad about the way they were being treated. And one thing we have to remember the times we talk about. We talk about the early 70s, late 60s, early 70s, when it was nothing for, like, if a black dude was in the wrong neighborhood, he would get beat up. You know, Martin Luther King made it famous. Martin Luther King was famous for passive-aggressive resistance or nonviolence, rather. I'm sorry. Martin Luther King made it famous for nonviolence, where you see the old pictures of Dr. King marching, people throwing rocks at him, people sicking dogs on him. Have you guys ever seen that before? Mm-hmm. You know, because he was in the South, and then in the South, you know, you were outnumbered, and they were trying to kill you anyway. So if you tried to fight back, it gave them a reason to kill you, because they were lynching folks. You know what I mean? So in the North, it was a little different. In the North, they were lynching people too, but it wasn't legal to sick dogs on people in the North like it was in the South. So people in the North, they could talk a little more than they did in the South. So you get these young guys, you know, they all hyped up and they're like, look, somebody put their hands on me, I'll put my hands on them, right? So they was kind of, some people said they called them militant, violent at times. Some of them might have been violent, some of them wasn't. Some of them pretty much was just, we gonna protect our neighborhood kind of deal. So I hook up with this Black Panther party, and I tell Forrest, I say, Forrest, they're having a party, right? So we go to the party and stuff, and Forrest did what you're not supposed to do. And you know, Forrest kind of slow. And I don't know if y'all remember the movie. The movie did show Forrest at the party. Remember, Forrest did something, they kicked him off the party, and he said, sorry, Mr. Black Panther, for ruining your Black Panther party. Y'all remember that part of the movie? Well, what they did, they didn't tell you why they put him out, see? What did happen is, me and Forrest was chilling, right? And we at this party, and they playing Marvin Gaye. Anybody ever heard of Marvin Gaye?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, Marvin Gaye, right? And they playing Marvin Gaye, right? And Marvin Gaye at the time, you know, this is like this was an all-black party. This was a party, you know, all black folks and stuff like that. And so Marvin Gaye, who was like, in today's time, Marvin Gaye would be equivalent to like the Lil Wayne. Who knows Lil Wayne?
And his moon boot worm.
Okay, well, imagine going to a party, right? Imagine going to a party and somebody playing Lil Wayne on the radio, and everybody at the party wants to hear Lil Wayne. And somebody goes up to the, back then, you know, you had a little radio station with the 45s and the needles, and somebody goes and takes the record off, or better yet, for y'all situation, somebody has their iPod plugged up into the speaker system, and somebody pulls their iPod off and hook their iPod up and start playing Taylor Swift.
Just that fighting stuff like that.
That would kind of ruin the party, right?
That was someone to get punched.
Well, unfortunately, that's what Forrest did. Forrest did it, but he played, what's that guy's name? They made a movie about him too, Walk the Line.
Johnny Cash.
Johnny Cash, there you go. So he was like kind of a country rock guy, and we had an all-black party. Well, country rock wasn't really their thing at the time. Maybe you had a couple people who might listen to it, but that wasn't what they wanted to hear. You know, they would listen to Marvin, Let's Get It On, and Mercy, you know, all the good, you know, all the old school songs. You know, they dancing and they having the groove and all that. The next thing you know, we went from Mercy Me or Let's Get It On to Johnny Cash. So of course everybody look at Forrest, who's still standing by the radio. If you're gonna change the radio, at least move. You know? So they look at Forrest, and I'm with Forrest. We both Gumps, so they kick both of us out. Which
why is he white and you're black?
By marriage. We cousins by marriage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we cousins by marriage. All right. I remember I said that in the beginning, but you wasn't paying attention.
I was too busy trying to work this thing.
Okay, don't break it though, please. So, so me and Forrest get put out, right? And I really ain't talked to Forrest since then because I was upset with Forrest a little bit because here it is, I had met some new friends with Forrest, like Forrest always do. Forrest kind of slow when he do things and I realize it, so he got me put out. But then that put a bad name because a lot of these guys came to my barbershop. They didn't want to come to my barbershop no more, you know what I mean? So, me and Forrest was cool, but, I still stayed in Chicago. I didn't want to move. I like Chicago, so I stayed there. And by this time, the 80s came along. I opened up a beauty salon, you know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of women need to get their hair done, right? So I opened up a beauty salon to go to my barbershop, right? And we had this young girl who just moved there from, like, Baltimore, right? And this young girl, she was, I'll tell you what, this is the young girl. This is the funny thing about this young girl. This young girl, her name is Oprah Winfrey. How many people know Oprah Winfrey? When she was 17, she won a beauty pageant. Now, how many people know Oprah Winfrey? When she was 17, she won a beauty pageant. You guys don't see the funny and the humor in that, do you?
Oprah's not pretty.
She is.
Okay. Well, never mind. Well, I'm just saying, nobody's ugly. Nobody's ugly. But if I was one of the judges, Oprah wouldn't have won the beauty pageant. Anyways. But Oprah, at 17, Oprah won a beauty pageant, which gave her a scholarship to go to Tennessee State University. One of those HBCUs out telling you about. And Oprah went to the university and she majored in communication, right? So Oprah went to university, majored in communication. She moved to Baltimore, started like a radio show. She was a TV anchor, did the news and stuff like that. So they asked her to come to Chicago, bigger city, bigger market, right? And she gets to Chicago and they asked her to do her own show that she was doing on the radio already. They asked her to do it on TV, her own little TV show, right? And at the time, this is a black woman in the 80s, and a lot of black folks didn't have TV shows, let alone have their own TV show. So here it is, Oprah, she had her talk show, right? And you had other talk shows on at the time, like Jenny something and Maury Povich. Jerry Springer wasn't around yet, but them guys, he's still just like the rest of them guys. You had all them talk shows about who you're.
Yep.
Okay. Now, they what you call it? 5 minutes. All right. So now here's Oprah, right? Oprah, she starts her TV show. She said, I don't want to be about who your baby daddy is. She said, I want real stories, talk about real people, talk about real stuff. And then she started giving away calls and stuff, you know what I mean? And she gave away these calls and stuff. And, I'm still kind of mad because she never gave me a call. And the thing I'm mad the most about, anybody ever seen the movie Color Purple?
Oh my gosh, I saw that movie!
She told me that she was auditioning for that movie. And I told her, she said, I don't know what to do. I said, you know what, Oprah? She said, you look like Oprah's kind of a big girl at the time. I said, you look like a strong woman. So what you do when you go in that audition, you tell them like this. You go in there, you say, you told Harpo to beat me. She did that and she got the movie. And they even put it in the movie. But she never said Harpo told her that. I'm sorry, she never told Rylo told her. You know what I mean? So me and Oprah still beefing about that. She won't give me my credit for that. Now, I'm still in Chicago. This is the 90s, right? I'm still in Chicago in my barbershop. I got some everybody come. And then this other young fella in the 90s, he just kind of moved to Chicago. He went to the University of Harvard, Harvard University, right? Mm-hmm. And he was at Harvard University, and this dude was real smart. He was one of the real smart dudes. Kind of tall, light-skinned brother, real slick though. He had he thought he had a little swag to him, you know what I mean? He had big ears. And he always bragging about when he was at Harvard, he was the leader of the Harvard newspaper, the Harvard Review newspaper and stuff like that. And, I'm the first black person to ever lead a Harvard newspaper and all, you know what I mean, which is good. He bragged about how smart he was. All right, brother, that's good, that's good. Then one day he told me, he said he's going to run for the Senate, right? And I said, man, he ain't going to make no senator. And he was kind of young too, so he ran for Senate, he made senator, right? And he was a lawyer too, so he already, was no dumb cat. So he ran for senator. Then he ran for state senator, and as you know, his name is Barack Obama, okay? And then he ran for president, right? And now he became president. But here's the thing with Barack Obama, nobody talking about. Back in my barbershop with the beauty salon, they had this tall, brown-skinned chick that used to always come in there. Her name was Michelle. And me and him used to say, I used to tell him, I said, you know what, I'm going to get them numbers. You know? And he said, you can't get that, Rylo. I said, watch me. And so he said, I'm going to get them before you do. I said, I tell you what, I play any game of basketball for it. Want to take off. And to this day, he will not admit that he fouled me for game point. I had game point, and I was going by him, and he got them big ears. And when he hit me, threw me off balance, I lost the ball. He get the ball, he go hit a jumper, and he got the girl. But unfortunately, you know how history works, you know. I missed out, but, you know, every time I do see it, I still kind of wink at her, you know. I could have been that one. But anyway, now, in the 90s, you know, the 90s came along, and, you know, Rylo getting older, so I want to change the scenery a little bit. So I want to move out west, right? Because I never really been out west. I said, I want to move to Compton. You know, which, at the time, when I moved to Compton, I knew Compton was part of L.A., but they didn't tell me Compton was like the rough part of LA, you know. So when I opened my barber shop up, I got all these gangbangers and stuff, and you know what I mean. And they had this one dude who used to come in, you know, to the barber shop with his little girls to go to the hair salon. And they had these two little girls, you know what I mean. And he always telling me how they, you know, he teaching them how to play tennis, you know, and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, you know, he teaching them to play tennis. Black folks don't play tennis, you know. And he's like, boy, my baby's gonna play tennis. I said, man, black folks playing tennis is like black folks playing golf. I never heard of that. You know what I'm saying? And he said, well, my girl's gonna be good one day. And sure enough, he had the one little girl, tall little skinny girl. He named after a planet, the Mars, Pluto,
Venus.
Venus. And he had the other little short one, Serena. She was kind of muscular, kind of. And they would come in there, you know. And I remember they started asking me like, Rylo, what do you think we should do? We gonna play tennis? What do you think? And I told them one time, I said, you know what? If you play tennis, don't let tennis play you. And they said, what do you mean? I said, don't let tennis be you. You play the game, but make the best out of the game. And you know, I look at them now, I see them doing movies, doing all kind of charity things, and they're using that money from tennis to do other things, you know, which is good. But when they do the interviews and they ask them where did they get the idea from, they never tell nobody that Rylo gave them the idea. See, and this is where my life brings me to now. Nobody never gives Rylo credit for all the stuff I didn't help do, you know what I mean? I didn't help Martin Luther King man up. I didn't help the little big-eared dude get the girl. The little girl playing tennis, I done told them, don't try to be like everybody else, be original. And now they making their own little tennis dresses. I swear I seen one girl trying to wear one of them little tennis dresses in the club one time. I told her, you can't do that, baby. But anyway, the importance of all this I came here to say is, the importance of history is you got to know your history, and you got to investigate your history. So don't just take what I'm telling you today about history. Go back and research for yourself. You'd be surprised what you find out. And especially with black history, because really there is no such thing as black history. It's either American history or you have, I mean, because like we never say white history, do we? You know, and the reason why we don't say white history because white history is what we already learned, so there's no need to say white history because that is just regular history, right? So unfortunately, we need to stop saying black history, or we need to just start saying American history. Because we all are part of history, you know what I mean? Everybody played an important role. And that's the one thing I do love about this country, America, because this is the country where a little big-eared guy who was born in Hawaii stole my girl and still could grow up to one day be president. When just 50 years ago, that same big-eared guy wouldn't be able to go to a restaurant, would have to go to the back door. Don't you find that ironic? That was only 50 years ago. If Barack Obama was, actually he was born in the 60s. When Barack Obama was 5 years old in 1965, if he would have went to Alabama to visit any relatives, he would have had to go to the back door to get food at a restaurant. I'd like to thank you. Y'all folks have a good one.